Hey, it's your old pal Slim, and this is 70 Millimeter, a podcast for movie fans just like you. With me, as always, is my close friend and artist, Danny Haas.
Hello.
And our close friend and Dune expert, Alexis. Every episode is usually connected to a theme for that month that we pick ahead of time, but this time it's an event episode, and it's for Dune Part 2 from Denis Villeneuve. And you can use the chapters in your podcast app to skip right to that discussion. I'm sure there's a bunch of people that just want to go right to it to see what we thought. It's been 852 days since we covered Dune on episode 81.
Wow.
Everyone's asking, can Denny redeem himself?
And if you add 8, 5, and 1, it's Taylor Swift's favorite number, 13.
God. You know, James was telling me about that stuff on the Super Bowl day. He's like, I already read the script for the Super Bowl. I almost threw his phone out.
The script.
All right, just a reminder, if you're a Dune nut, you're new to the show, just use the chapters, get right to the chat. But we got a lot of stuff to get to. I also ran some other numbers since episode 91. No. This is episode 208. Episode 91, very popular episode. We were the most brave podcast hosts probably in the business to say that we liked Dune differently than other people did. But a lot has happened since then. Stranger Things Season 4 came out since that episode. That feels like an eternity ago. Remember we did an episode on that with Ian, Danny?
I do remember that. What an episode.
Ian's last appearance on the show. I don't know.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Top Gun Maverick came out. Spider-Man No Way Home came out. People losing their ass over that in theaters. The Power of the Dog. And maybe the most popular one, The Book of Boba Fett, came out since episode 91. And the Beatles Get Back.
Get out of here. This is the worst.
That also came out. I'm sorry. Memory lane's over. Enough. I'm just saying it's been a while since we did Dune on the show. Also, right off the bat, I got to say the art. Phenom art.
Thank you.
Insane art. It feels like it could be on like a movie adaptation comic book or some kind of like promotional art piece. It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
Love
take your pants off before you look at it. It might
I need
blow
everyone
across your
to
room.
de-pants before they see this artwork. And if you're looking at it now, it's time to take them off. March's theme. We did a vote for March.
Oh, baby.
Proto, do you offhand remember the 4 themes that we put to our patrons to vote for March? We're ready to announce the results. But Proto, do you remember the options?
Yes, of course. We had 90 minutes or less. Sexual Michael Douglas month. Oscar snubs. And then part 3. What do we call it? Third movie in a series?
No,
was that the fourth?
May the 3rd be with you.
May the 3rd be with you. Yes. Yes, Jeff. Those are our 4 categories.
We had 40% of patrons voted on this.
That's crazy.
For this vote. I did some other research. I was crunching some other numbers.
Yeah.
Do you know the turnout for the 2020 presidential election?
No.
Percentage was?
35%.
66. So we weren't quite at the presidential election turnout vote. But I mean, it's still pretty good. Okay.
They're still in line.
They're still in line. I shut off the vote. So I don't know what they're going to do once they get to the front of the line. 4th place of these polls, May the 3rd be with you. Last place with 10.8%. There might have been some vote swaying. You know, maybe it just didn't win out. It wasn't even close. No Alien 3 on the pod for the foreseeable future, I guess.
Maybe we shouldn't have said that. We should have led with that.
Yeah, maybe.
We should have hinted at Alien 3. They got scared.
Scared of glory.
Number 3, third place in the vote. This one I think there's probably going to be a whole lot of soul searching in the Discord.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk of their game.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not backed up. So Sexual Michael Douglas Month only got 19% of the vote.
My God.
Where are the voters?
Yeah.
Where
gotta
are
vote.
the voters? This is like when Bart ran for class president against Martin Prince, and he didn't even vote for himself.
Exactly.
He lost the whole vote because one person voted. It's the exact
crazy.
same plot. The winner with 37.1% of the vote, 90 minutes or less. That's going to be the theme for March.
Yeah.
Oscar Snubs was
Incredible.
winning for, I felt like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
something changed. I used Patreon's chat feature. I said, if you haven't voted yet, stay in line. And then the votes changed. I thought that was pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
So Danny's starting off the month officially.
Yeah.
But you had a whole situation with your picks.
When we saw the numbers weren't going to really change, I started diving into the 90 minutes or less. And I came across one that not only fit into my mode of watching World War II movies right now. It was 90 minutes and less. It was animated by Studio Ghibli. And it is in distribution hell because Studio Ghibli doesn't own the story to Graves of the Fireflies. It is someone else's story, but Ghibli did the animation for it. It's 4.4 on Letterboxd. And I really wanted to cover that one for the podcast, but you can't rent it anywhere. You have to pay hundreds of dollars for these Blu-rays because no one knows how to come together and distribute this together.
Wow.
Wow, what a pick that would have been.
Yeah.
I haven't
Right?
seen it.
Yeah, I saw you hadn't seen it. I don't think Slim's seen it. And it's a heavy one. And it's based on a true story too. So I was really hoping to watch this with you guys, but we'll
I
figure
can't
it
wait
out.
until this hits streaming the day after we record your episode.
They're listening.
I bet you it will. I had just assumed it was a part of the Ghibli section on HBO Max because it was Studio Ghibli. So I was like, yes, hell yes, we're going to do this one. But it's not my pick. And we'll talk about it at the end of the show.
Yeah, we'll find out later. Tom in chat is saying High School Musical is under 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not my pick, Tom.
Good job, Tom. Identifying the movie.
That's true.
Proto, are you locked? We're not going to be announcing our picks in advance. We're taking a break from that style of monthly formats. But are you locked when the time comes for your pick?
I'm in a form of locked.
Oh.
And what that means, I will be making an announcement at the end of the show for my pick next week. So please stay tuned for the very end of the show for my announcement. Thank you. That's all I have to say at this time.
Free pick announcement you'll be giving at the end of the show.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
I don't know if this has ever been done.
Never.
It's a night for firsts.
All right. So let's see. What are we talking about? Proto, did you watch anything this week you want to chat about? There's been a lot of Katt Williams talk. I'm not sure if that's what you want to lead off with. Maybe at some point we can get into Katt Williams. Maybe that's a post show. I don't know. You decide.
Yeah, maybe we save it for the uncut. We can deep dive Shannon Sharp.
We'll deep dive
Katt
into
Williams.
Katt Williams in the uncut episode for patrons.
But I had a great week for movies. I am going really hard on my Criterion Challenge. And just for anybody listening who doesn't know what that is, on Letterboxd, there's a nice member of the community. I can't remember his name right now, but every year he makes a list called the Criterion Challenge. It has 52 categories, and then you pick a movie for each category in the Criterion, and your goal is to watch all of them over the course of the year. So a lot of us in the Discord are doing it. It's a lot of...
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. That was a total accident.
Playing them off.
I'm so sorry.
Was the
I did not
soundboard
mean
a
to-
mistake?
That's okay.
I didn't. I'm so sorry. I was rude.
All right. So the Criterion Challenge is it's a lot of fun. Let's see. And I watched a couple movies this week that were on it. I watched Elaine May's movie Mikey and Nikki.
Oh
yeah, that's a big one.
1976. Elaine May, of course, also did Ishtar.
Oh,
We all want to see it.
Yeah.
She kind of has like a little bit of a cult following. In this movie, it stars Peter Falk and John Cassavetes.
our boys.
Boys. And the history around this movie is pretty wild. Apparently, I was reading the wiki after it. Like, Elaine May had this habit of leaving the camera running at all times.
Ooh.
So I think she shot some like insane amount of footage of just Peter Falk and John Cassavetes like improving tons of scenes. But the story is about John Cassavetes plays this guy who he steals from the mob, and Peter Falk, who's his friend, is trying to save him over the course of like one night, get him out of town or protect him, do a few different things. I thought it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. I love Peter Falk. Like, I'll watch him in anything. He's just so compelling. So I loved him for that. And also, this is supposed to be set in Philadelphia, which is kind of cool, hometown.
Yeah. Did you know they filmed that cemetery scene right behind my house? There's a cemetery right near my house. Because way back we did a 4 Faves episode of Letterboxd with Mia, and this was one of her 4 Faves. And I looked up the filming of it, and I was like, wait a minute, that's like a weird city to film in. And lo and behold, that's the cemetery they used.
Wow.
It's also, I think there's like some crazy stat where she filmed the amount of film she uses like 3 times what they filmed for Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
Like that's how long she's left. Yeah, she had some like big dispute with the studio after filming. I think she had to fight to even get the footage and like release the movie or something. She like held the footage hostage. It's a pretty wild story.
Yeah, apparently she had like a budget. It was like 1.4 million, I think. And then she just like blew right through it. And then the studio had to step in and be like, you can't keep doing this. So it's interesting. It'd be kind of cool to like hear a commentary about the movie.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I also want to watch Ishtar. Ishtar historically has been a hard to find movie, but Josh says it's on the Criterion channel right now.
Yeah, I did see it on there.
To watch that.
Another one I watched was Tampopo.
Oh, yes.
And I have seen reviews come in for this movie for years, and everybody who watches this loves this movie. Oh, you got to watch this. It's great. But I had never heard of this before, and I don't really hear people talking about it other than on Letterboxd. So I watched it, and by golly, it might be the best movie I've seen all year so far.
Goodness.
I mean, we're at the beginning of March, but it is really up my alley. It is so much fun. It is about this single mom who owns this little ramen shop, and she's not doing too great. And these 2 guys roll in, and they decide to help her turn the ramen shop around and figure out how to make great ramen. Like, they want to like renovate the place and kind of help her out. But the movie is, in a lot of ways, it's like it's about movie making as well, because it feels like a Western about ramen. So a lot of scenes are like ripped right from like a Western movie. But it's all like having fun with it. And then there's like these vignettes of like these couples eating food. And the movie's it's also about like the love of food. And it might be the best food movie too. I haven't seen a ton of movies about food, but this one was just clearly, I think, in terms of how it talked about food and just this, it made me really hungry. It made me want a bowl of ramen, honestly. So I love this. I would love to do this on the show at some point. It's just a really fun movie to watch.
Yeah. It's BLB for me. I haven't seen it since I've had Letterboxd to log it. So I need to watch it again.
Oh, you've seen it?
Oh, yeah. I love Tampopo.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Let's have a mini meetup in Philly at some ramen spot to celebrate this announcement.
Gosh. Ramen capital of the world.
Proto had 44 likes on this Letterboxd review. You kidding me? Good Lord. That's like, I mean, that's like 100,000 likes on Twitter.
We're grinding.
That's like the ratio. There's a comment on your review from Christian. One of the best movies in the, quote, movies with armpit licking canon.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't even know.
Christian's right.
It's how ramen's made.
Oh, God.
You want to make it the right way.
I don't know.
Yeah. No one wants to know how the sausage gets made.
What about Shogun? Do you want to talk about that now or in the post show? Maybe we save Shogun talk for the post show.
Yeah, maybe we save it for the post show. Save the TV talk for later. One other movie I could say is I watched the little movie Blackberry from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Did you both see this?
No,
Loved it.
not at all.
Yeah, this movie was a lot of fun. I would put this in the category of what is this movie like? It's like a modern. It's kind of like the movie Air that was about Nike.
Oh, it's really about the cell phones.
Yeah, it's about the cell phones, the story of the BlackBerry, how it came to be.
Oh,
and it's kind of like a classic tale of like businessman meets nerdy engineer, and they come together against all odds and make this product, and kind of change the world for a very short amount of time. But I just had a blast watching this. It stars Jay Baruchel and Glenn Howerton. Glenn Howerton, of course, from Always Sunny.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Who doesn't love? And he is a maniac in this. I need Glenn Howerton in more movies.
wait, which one's Glenn?
He's
Glenn.
He's not the one that owns the soccer team with Ryan Reynolds?
No. He's
That's the
Dennis.
other one?
He's the skinnier
No.
one, always screaming. He does cocaine in the earlier seasons.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's bald in this, and he's raging constantly. So I had a lot of fun with this. Go ahead.
I agree. Yeah, this was a lot. I thought potential Oscar buzz for Glenn when I saw this movie. I was like, is he in the running? Because that's how good he was.
Yeah, fantastic. I love movies like this too. It's like real
Simple.
low stakes, just
Yeah.
a kind of story of history. Who knows if it's accurate or not? Who cares?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, it's so crazy to look back to see how BlackBerry was like the company for years and thought to be just unstoppable. And now they went so fast.
The Crackberry.
Oh.
It was cool hearing like the technical side of it too, because I had never heard of that, of like the things they had to overcome to make the network work for cell phones. I had never heard of like the limitations that they dealt with and the ways they figured out how to solve it. So even that was really cool to me, just hearing like the birth really and the growth of cellular. Everyone's falling asleep listening to this, but thank you for being here.
No.
This is uncut talk. Did I have a BlackBerry? Jash asks. No, I never had a BlackBerry phone. I was not. BlackBerry phones to me were like executives used BlackBerries. Yeah, they were work phones. Like I didn't want to do work email or whatever. It was not for me. I was still T9ing at the wazoo. Let's say hello to some new patrons. Jack, Araya, and Treen all joined this past week, got access to exclusive episodes. There's nearly 60 episodes in the 70mm vault. Got access to discounts on Danny's prints, all of our merch. And what was our most recent episode? Swingers, which we recorded. What state were we in? North Carolina.
The Deep South.
The deep
deepest of
South.
South.
It's the deepest South you can get. Curious how their ramen is. But we also give out a free year of Letterboxd Patron every week. Gets rid of ads, get a backdrop on your profile, sort your favorite streaming services, get notifications when they're on there. Where's that review at? I pulled it up here. It's from our boy Mosh. Mosh getting another year of Letterboxd Patron. The close-up of Florence Pugh in that coif is the greatest thing I've seen in my life on Letterboxd. We'll get into it.
Say that?
Yeah, we can say it on this show. Other shows you might not be able to say. Danny, did you watch anything you want to talk about this week?
I watched one movie I got to talk about, but we don't talk about trailers enough on this show, and it's fine. I know you guys aren't trailer people, but I am.
Uh-oh.
Watching Dune 2 today, there was a trailer that had me grinning ear to ear. I cannot wait to watch this film.
Let it out.
Did you guys get the trailer for Fall Guy? The Ryan Gosling,
We didn't get any
Emily
trailers.
Blunt movie?
I might have missed it.
It's like my highest, like I'm looking forward to this the most this year. I couldn't stop laughing at this trailer.
Yeah.
I was chilled up how good it is. I mean, we're living in like a renaissance of these Gotham movies. Okay,
Workshopping.
I can't believe how funny this. I mean, I'm all for this film right now. It was a banger of a trailer, and I'm very excited
fun.
about it. It looks silly fun.
Yeah, I want to see that.
To me, he's so funny. So I'm excited.
The truck is in that, right? I think we talked about the truck before you had seen the trailer, like a month ago or something. I was pulling up Google image searches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down to see
that. This week I watched the 2014 film Fury with Brad Pitt, Shia LaBeouf, Michael Pena, John Berthnall. It's about the World War II tank. I think it's the wrong one.
No, but I think Berthnall did it too several times.
Did Berthnall do it? These are the Sherman tank driving war days in the war. I'm going to ignore all this because I hate Walking Dead. I did see a trailer for Walking Dead. Oh my God. What was I talking about? Oh, Fury. God damn. Fury, the tanks, David Ayer movie. It was good. It wasn't amazing. I wanted it to be amazing. I thought Brad was awesome in it. I think Shia is pretty great in it too. I don't know what's happened to Shia. I haven't kept up on pop culture with him.
Where's Shia?
I miss him.
I think he's trying to become like a Catholic priest, last I saw in the tabloids at the supermarket.
Shia, come back.
Is that an IG? Where'd you see that?
That might have been on Reddit. Like a suggested subreddit that I looked at 6 months ago that I keep seeing.
Whatever. Fury was fine. It was fine. 3.5 stars, I think. I don't know. 4 stars. Whatever I gave it. Fury is fine. It's not something that I would recommend to like, if you're into World War II movies. It's at the bottom of the list a bit.
You kind of had me reeling though when you were saying how that the ending of that movie is actually based on an actual event. Because when I saw this, I kind of wrote this movie off because I felt like the ending was war porn.
It definitely crosses that line a bit. When I think of like war porn, it's how we have to watch like bodies die. That's when it gets like this is I don't know if this is real. Like there's a moment where there's like 5 tanks lined up and they're coming down this field shooting at one German tank. And like a tank shell like blows a guy in half, but we like visually like watch it perfectly. It's like, this is enough, David. We don't need to see this. But yes, the ending. Not to spoil it too much, but there's like a standoff at the end with like the one tank, and the true story is like even greater stakes that I feel like would have made a better ending in the film, but. The ending's kind of crazy cool.
Brad had like great hair in that movie, didn't he?
Oh my God, Brad's hair in that movie. Jeez. I mean, if we got like Hanks and Spielberg to do a Sherman tank miniseries on Apple TV Plus and just bring back Brad for it with his hair, I'd be there in a heartbeat.
Did you see that there's did you watch that news show that's on there? Is it called Constellation?
No, I haven't
like another new sci-fi space show on Apple TV. It's like
there's like 7 of them.
It's like the new Sci-Fi Channel.
And yet we make fun of it, but everything I've watched on Apple TV has been pretty great.
All right. We'll talk about my movie in the uncut. We got a lot of jam-packed episode. I don't want this to be a 2-hour episode. Okay, folks. We got to get into Dune.
Muad'Dib.
Part 2. Episode 208. Event episode. They said it couldn't be done. Us coming back to Dune.
Half of 208 is 91. Do you believe?
Oh my God. Proto, what's this movie about?
Previously on Dune, Paul Atreides has his whole planet of people relocated to Arrakis, the planet with the spice. They got 1v2'd horde by the Harkonnens and the Emperor Shaddam Corrino IV. But little Paul and his mom slip away into the desert and befriend the Desert Power people, aka the Fremen. In part 2, Paul seeks revenge against his enemies. Slowly, with the help of Mommy, Paul converts the Fremen to believe that he is the prophesied Messiah who will lead them into the paradise they long for on Arrakis. But he has a few problems. The biggest being Elvis. He has shaved his head, received an orbital bone implant, and put meat back on the menu. But Paul is ready. See, he's gonna do what no man has done. He's gonna drink worm piss and see the future. Jesus. No, this isn't a Nathan Fielder idea. This is the Kwisatz Haderach on Dune. Dune 2.
Dune 2. We made it. We made it. What a journey to get here. Finally, after Dune. I mentioned at the top of the show, just for folks that skipped through all our BS, I mentioned, we were the bravest hosts to cover this movie and say that we liked it. Just not as much as everyone else. And, you ever heard of this character, Jesus, being crucified on the cross? That was us. We were on 3 crosses, podcast crosses.
Imagine 3 Jesuses crucified at once.
So I think what I want to do first before we go around the room is maybe check in on how we view the first movie now that time has passed. At least 2 of us have done a rewatch ahead of this one. So I did a rewatch on my LG OLED TV. It looks stunning. The audio was amazing. I still felt the same, that there just wasn't enough humor or emotion or like characters for me to care about necessarily. And I ended still at 3.5 stars, me personally. Proto, what about you? I think that might have changed though for you on your rewatch.
Yeah, I rewatched it and I gave it 5 stars on this viewing. I think for me, the biggest thing was watching it and knowing that this one was just a week away to seeing part 2. It didn't feel so distant or unresolved this time around. And it was so funny because there was a TikTok that was shared also of like a guy saying the same exact thing of like, oh, I felt much better about watching this knowing that I'm getting part 2. And that was like my exact feeling mainly. But I also agree. I think it just looked incredible. I loved watching it at home. Like I don't feel like I really like lacked anything from watching it at home versus like in the theater. So yeah, I was pumped and ready for this one.
Right. Yeah, it can be a different experience knowing that there is a sequel officially greenlit as opposed to a part 1 with no green light. Did you or did you not rewatch ahead of time?
I didn't rewatch. There wasn't really anything I needed to see again.
Right. You were like 3 stars, was it? That episode, I think.
I would say maybe. Probably 3.5. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go, and also just to reiterate, Proto, Dune expert, read the books. You've read the books. You've launched a Dune specific podcast historically. Yeah. Like you were a part of the OG crew for Escape Hatch, nay Dune Pod. You retired from that role. You had enough. You moved on to this moment. So we'll go around the room. Each host jots down a few notes. We'll go round table discussion, main things we want to talk about, and then we'll give our letterbox rating. I have to also point out that, Proto and I saw this movie together in the Chamonix IMAX. I was taking notes periodically on my phone. I had my brightness down to 0, as low as it can go. Tried to obscure it with my leg, as I'm jotting down notes. So,
you did a great job.
Your glasses on the end of your nose.
So I did not go to the theaters to rewatch this again. My only theatrical viewing is that press screening that we went to. Where do I want to start? I guess right off the bat, I feel like for me personally, this is a gigantic improvement from the first movie. Like rewatching the first movie just felt like a very cold experience emotionally, and just like I said earlier, like caring about any of these characters or having an idea of where this movie's going. There was a lot more humor in this movie. There was a lot more emotion. And I think some of that also can be due to Hans Zimmer's music, which I'm sure we'll get into. There there was like a piece of music in this score that I don't remember in the first movie that just carried like an emotional resonance for me in many scenes, because there's like more emotional things that happen in this movie. You know, is it Chani? Is it Chani or Shawnee? Zenday's character.
It's Zendaya.
I didn't know that she kept the same name. So at least for this particular viewing, I felt like all of those things were now in this movie, but then also there's like an insane scale and more sci-fi-ish things in this particular part. And Proto and I talked a little bit like outside of the theater, but I'm curious if that is similar. I'm curious if that's similar to you, Proto, or it's just like more of the same from the first movie.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I would say the like the emotional level. I think you're right. I think there is more in this, but it definitely got my nerd heartstrings. This one, so I saw this twice. I think at this point, I think I'm the only person on the planet who's seen it twice.
Wow,
gosh,
okay,
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
yeah. So I saw it twice, and I, as a nerd, you know, I cried both times when he picked his name, Muad'Dib, because that's my favorite part of the book. And I just like each time I like the tears welled up. So I feel like I had more of an emotional reaction to this one. But I think you're right. I think there is more levity in this. Like it's definitely funny. Like they try to throw in some more humor in this for sure.
Speaking of crying, I mean, Proto's Dune Part 2 review, that first one, 171 likes right now.
It's crazy.
Unreal on Letterboxd.
Yeah. They're at his feet right now. The Letterboxd Muad'Dib.
Kiss my feet.
Danny, what was your thoughts on that topic? You know, this maybe including more things, like maybe more scale, more sci-fi, maybe some more emotion, or did it hold the same as the first one?
I would say it held the same. You know, I don't know how to answer that. I don't feel like, I think there is a lot more to like in this movie than it was the first one. I'm not emotionally attached to anyone at the end of this movie. I'm really not, and I don't know what it is. I did find the audience laughing at things, and I'm like looking around like, what did I miss? What was the joke? I can barely understand what Javier is saying anyway. What was his joke that everyone's laughing at? Like the entire theater is like laughing, and I'm just like,
they're drooling in this theater. They're laughing it
like
up.
Seinfeld getting up and walking out. I don't even know what they're laughing at.
Licking their armpits.
They all have blue eyes when Danny turns around.
I don't know. I think the most I liked is the scale of things. I don't know about them. I don't think there's that much more sci-fi in this than the first one. I think they have them at like extreme levels of very science fiction stuff. Yeah.
One thing I want to ask you both is, did you feel like you knew was going to happen because you watched like David Lynch's Dune? Do you guys have like memory of the story? You felt like a good sense of where it was going to go?
I feel like there were things that I was looking forward to seeing in this that was in Lynch's that wasn't in the first Dune. Mainly the stuff with Austin Butler's character and Dave Bautista. So I guess more stuff with I don't remember, the Harkonnens. I think that was kind of it. And I was hoping that there was more, and we do get a lot more Timothy and Paul. So that's what I was kind of looking forward to, was the Paul's rise to Muad'Dib. And, the battle between him and Fayed.
Sting.
God, imagine if it was Sting again.
Elvis.
Actually, I was actually wondering, because when the movie ended, and you know, not to reference Proto and I talking in the parking lot again, I was mainly just asking questions about the movie and the book. Because I listened to those early Dune Pod episodes, I kind of know what happens in the next movie because I listened to those episodes about the book. So I was mainly curious. I had like vague memories of the daughter in the Lynch movie being a younger girl, and then I thought maybe that they freed water at some point. Like maybe that was a dream sequence that I thought was the ending of the movie. So those were the things that I was just kind of like hazy on.
That's Mad Max Fury Road, where they free the water.
No, you're right. There was the young girl, right, that was talking through the telekinesis.
She was like shown as a younger girl as opposed to like a voice / fetus.
But this was the fetus, right? Instead, the Kwisatz Cabbage Patch.
I think it's the official phrasing. Proto, what's the top of your list for Dune Part 2?
Yeah, as I was thinking about the movie, I found myself just wanting mostly to talk about the performances and the actors.
Mm-hmm.
And the first on my list really is Austin Butler.
Okay.
As Fade Rotha. We got some promotional stuff before the movie. But we're watching, Danny and I, Masters of the Air right now.
Mm-hmm.
So Austin Butler is a main character in that. So we see a lot of him in 1940s, airmen.
Butt boys.
Excuse me.
That's accurate. Yeah. You can fart noise yourself for that.
You could self-flatulate.
But I think he just looks so wild in this. Does he have an implant in his forehead in this movie?
I have an answer for you.
It looked pronounced. He has a pronounced forehead. He has a forehead like me, I feel like. It looked like something was going.
Like yours.
Freakish Fade is very similar to my human forehead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. His shaved head, something's going on there. Maybe Hannah suggests it's a bald cap. Maybe they're covering up hair, so there's just going to be more there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I watched an interview with him, and they asked him about him shaving his head for the movie, and he said because of the bike.
Bike
Riders movie.
He couldn't shave his head or his eyebrows, so the bald cap goes from the back of his neck to his eyelid, and it took like 3 hours for them to do it all seamlessly. So you can't see anything. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I loved. I thought Austin was great. I loved him in this role. I thought he played this weird, sociopath character really well, and I thought the way he was realized as like another member of this sicko family, they're all very clearly themed as sicko Harkonnens, but they're all a little different too. So I think of just like his design and like how they thought it out, and I don't know if I don't like necessarily love like the arena, like the fighting in the arena, but the Giedi Prime, that planet, man, those scenes on their homeworld were just unbelievable to me. Yeah. Talk about scale and size. That felt huge when they're in their arena.
Mm-hmm. Now, all those like far away shots of just like their armies or them greeting people, it looks sick. Like all those shots, like the wide shots of all those locations. But the was it infrared black and white, how they filmed the arena stuff? That was like bizarre.
Yeah.
But I thought Austin was fine. He didn't blow me away. It was like wild to see him in that kind of like Darth Vader Sith outfit towards the end of the movie. He's wearing like a cape and, black leather fatigues, but with armor. That was pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
Getting some more Star Wars vibes there.
Yeah, I didn't like Austin at all in this. And I finally warmed up to him when he'd had the fight with Paul at the end. I thought the choreography and the emotion that he brought to that fight, the kind of final battle, was great. There was just something a bit silly about him for most of the time. I didn't find him, besides the just slashing people's throats willy-nilly, which I know that's a part of his character. I don't know. There was just something about it that just felt, I think it's because of knowing his kind of Elvis history, and I just kind of look at him with already jaded eyes. So he was fine. I didn't find it like overly compelling as a bad guy. But visually, that whole bit on their planet is bonkers. And I love the reverse celebration where it's daytime with black fireworks, and when it goes to nighttime, it's white fireworks. They're like ink splotches in the sky. That was brilliant. I just loved that.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk online that Austin Butler turns in the performance of a lifetime in Dune.
In this?
Too. Like the greatest.
This. Oh, in this.
Every movie he's in.
Everything he does.
History. And then I mute that tweet or that thread instantly.
Austin couldn't figure out how he wanted to sound in this film, it felt like. He was trying different accents on every planet.
He's a psychopath. Maybe he talks in different cadences. He's trying to nail down, many different things. I think his
first line sounded exactly like Elvis.
Obviously,
he looks over his shoulder. Yeah.
What's the first thing you want to talk about, Danny?
I think we've kind of talked about this. I'm going to say it again. The way that Greg Fraser and Denis Villeneuve capture scale is kind of breathtaking in this film. There are just moments where I don't really care what's happening. I just kind of want to stare at the screen. Like I want to push pause for a second and just stop to see what I'm looking at, because there's just, and it's even scenes where there's not even a lot going on. There's just kind of, even like looking out across the desert, them just like planning an attack on the spice, whatever things. I just can't get over what they've done in this film. And I don't feel like I felt the same way in the first movie. I know visually I was kind of shocked at what I was seeing in the first film. And I think I just expected to be at that level again. But there was something about just the spectacle of the scale in this and the design of it felt like a different from part one enough to where I'm like, damn, this is, I don't know what they did different, because I know they kind of filmed them not so much back to back, but it's like something changed, or like they hit another gear at some point for visually what we're looking at.
Yeah. People are asking, should Roger Deakins retire after this movie came out?
I don't want to hear that name again.
Is he? Yeah, I certainly never want to hear that name on this podcast again. Even just like the close-ups of, Timmy had so many just like close-up contemplative scenes, and they were so zoomed in. Like it's almost like music video-ish a lot of times in this movie. You could say the whole thing's a freaking music video. And also, what's her face? Florence had so many of those similar shots.
Yeah.
Where it's
you
just
talk about
focused.
wanting to pause a film.
You talk about. But you can also just say like everyone in this movie is just gorgeous. So you're just gonna like just sit the camera on their face, and it's gonna be an amazing shot the way everything is filmed in the locations. But yeah, I also felt like he hit another gear in this movie. He just did The Creator. He's done Rogue One. He's done The Batman.
We can see what he does with 80 million and 200 million.
Oh, yeah.
He's a master.
Yeah, the scale really is incredible in this. You mentioned that the spice harvester scene, both of them, one where they shoot at the ornithopter with the rocket. There's that. But then there's like the montage later on too, where they're like just attacking them outright. And just, it looks like magic. However, they make it look so big and communicate that scale is really impressive. I also really loved the Emperor's ship. Like what a nutty looking like alien ship.
Was
especially
that
with
the ball?
The ball, the reflective ball.
Sphere. That looked crazy.
I didn't understand. Maybe you can tell me. Why was there flames coming off of it? Not that it didn't look amazing, but at the end when they're attacking and there's like the directional flames were kind of...
Yeah, I think that's like the shield that's on it. So like the dust probably hitting against it and burning up or something.
Okay. It looked rad.
Yeah, it did look rad. Next on my list, I like said this in my review, which brought out the Dune book nerds, and I quickly shut off comments to friends only. But like, I wrote like Star Wars meets, what the hell did I say? Star Wars meets H.R. Geiger meets the Bible. And I don't know, just like, I didn't really see much of that to my liking in the first movie, but this one, it's like big time. Like I saw Last Temptation of Christ homages, like when he's in like that kind of underground bunker, proclaiming what they need to do. And just the couple with the designs of the movie, but then also like obviously like you see like jokey Anakin comments in reviews, but I mean I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but you could say that this is a version of Anakin's story somewhat, just told in a different way. Like, because in this one, it's like way more pronounced that he doesn't see any good outcome of fulfilling the prophecy. Like in his visions, and he almost like doesn't want to, and Zendaya doesn't want him to, and he even says like, "I'll just fight alongside you," and let's just be happy with that. But then when he gets these visions and like seeing like, okay, this is just going to go very poorly if I do this. If I drink the freaking water, don't make me drink it, and then he drinks it, and then he like tries to fulfill the prophecy, and it just goes haywire. So like, I saw like the Anakin parallels in that in a different way, like. You could say the same thing of this could be like a Star Wars story in a way, in a manner of speaking, but then also like a Bible story. And then you hear the white savior stuff a lot. But I don't know, it would just like really slap me in the face in this particular part of the series.
And you're really gonna get the
nerds,
the people who talk about Dune ripping or Star Wars ripping off Dune commenting on this.
Yeah, so I should elaborate.
We really are going to
the
get
people
them
in my comments were like,
fired up.
Actually, the Dune book came out before Star Wars, so really everything for Star Wars comes from Dune. Yeah. And they really wanted to make that known, by the way. So get the F out of my face.
Get it out of here. There's other podcasts to call in on.
There's other podcasts where you can commiserate with our thoughts. Proto, what did you think about the kind of religious parallels and maybe even potentially Star Wars parallels?
Yeah, I think that's one reason that maybe people love this story so much and glob onto it. And I think that's one reason I do, is that when you think of like sci-fi ideas or really even like storytelling ideas, this thing has like the kitchen sink in it. And it, has the bangers, a Messiah coming to save a people. He gets betrayed, he dies, he comes back to life. He can see into the future. Like it has like all of these elements of, betrayal and friendship and all these big themes that you want in a story, but it's also wrapped in this crazy science fiction world that's realized in a very unique and compelling way with like interesting, factions all coming at each other. So I think that's, why people love it so much. And yeah, I think you're right. I felt those things too. It's like, it feels biblical. In my review, I said like, I thought I wanted Denny to like do a David movie, but like this feels, this was for when I rewatched Dune 1. But this feels like a Bible story, basically, because it is. It really is. Like it has all those elements.
I thought it was interesting too. I read an interview where he touched on like the white savior stuff, and he made changes to this part specifically with Zendaya because he wanted to make the focus more on like, is it Herbert, the guy who wrote the books?
Mm-hmm.
About Herbert's like main, his intentions with before he wrote the books. Like some of I guess his books didn't come off the way he intended, but he wanted to like show that like this savior idea can potentially be the wrong way. And that's that's why he made changes to Zendaya's character in this compared to the books. Because I guess in the book, she is just subservient to Paul. And this is like a major shift from the books, right, Proto, where she kind of just goes her own way and she does not want him to be the prophecy fulfilled.
Yeah, I don't really, I'm a little fuzzy on it, but that sounds right from what I remember from reading the book. What you're saying though about like the whole savior thing is like, that is absolutely correct, is that even though he's like a hero, there's also like this dark like undercurrent throughout the narrative, even with his mother, of like there being like sinister motives, or like they are the heroes, but is he actually a hero? And I think that's communicated pretty well in this movie. It's very subtle, and I think it's subtle in the book. And I think that's the thing, is that like people very easily read the book and they come away of like, Paul's just a good guy savior. and you kind of can read the book that way if you don't continue to read the story. So I think the book, you can come away with that, but I think the way they did it in the movie, it kind of lends well to just those ideas that are present in the books.
Right.
I think when I watched this, I just definitely lean more towards it being very biblical than having anything to do with Star Wars. I don't really get any Star Wars vibe. I know you can make the connections, but I don't get that vibe very much watching this. It feels so separated from Star Wars, thematically, visually. I don't know. I mean, if you want to, that's the thing. Like, if you want to just draw lines through everything, you can probably do it with 10 different sci-fi films.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, I agree, Danny. I think I would say this is closer to like a series like Alien than Star Wars. I think in terms of tone, especially, like, this is serious sci-fi, whereas Star Wars is more like fantasy,
yeah,
popcorn.
Yeah, this is darker.
Right. When people say like, this is my Star Wars or whatever, like Empire Strikes Back, I'm just like,
yeah,
this is not Star Wars. Like, just you don't even know. Come on, Star Wars. Calm down.
Have you even seen Star Wars?
Have you even seen the Book of Boba Fett, my friend? This is not Star Wars. Oh, God. Proto's second point, I think.
Yes. So Zendaya.
Yes.
So remember in the first movie?
She's not in it.
Yeah, where she wasn't in the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
She had a cameo in Dune Part 1.
She had an Anya Taylor-Joy part in the first one.
Yes. But here she has a much bigger role in Part 2. And I'm tempted to say that I think she might give the best performance out of anybody in this movie. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my camera because I noticed something.
You're blurry.
Thank you, Microsoft Windows.
But yeah, I really loved her in this. I thought the way she carried herself from scene to scene, her chemistry with Timothée Chalamet was good. And I felt like their moments felt intimate and lived in. Like, I felt very believable of just how she was acting and kind of inhabiting the role. So I really enjoyed her performance.
Yeah, it's bonkers to think that we almost lived in a world where there was no Part 2, and her role was just 30 seconds in the first movie. Like, what? Folks need to realize we were so close to Dune being it, and it ending like that. Who knows?
Half a movie.
I agree. I thought their chemistry was really good. They had some great lines together. I thought I wrote it down, but maybe I didn't. There's like, when they're having this conversation together, when he's talking about like wanting to be with the Fremen or join her, and he's like, I want to be your equal, I think he says. Right. And she's like, maybe I'll show you the way. I thought that was a great scene. Also, like, visually too, they're just sitting on that sand dune and the camera's like behind them or whatever. Like, dang, that looks nice.
I think Denny's favorite time of day is like just before sunrise. Because if you watch his movies, he's like has a scene that, Arrival had a lot of that. Sicario has that. It's like he uses that all the time. And it does. It looks great, especially in the desert.
I also thought like the passage of time worked pretty well because he goes, also when he like goes into the desert for 40 days or whatever, like, come on, hello? Bible?
40 days, 40 nights.
Right. Like, I mean, they almost like winked at me when I was in the theater. Like, Javier Bardem was like, we need to send you into the desert. You need to survive the desert for 40 days. And then he winks at me.
Wink, wink.
Jesus, remember Jesus, viewer. But they kind of like, they showed a few scenes from that, but then they're like on a mission already. Like, you can see that like enough time has passed that he's like integrating with the group, the Fremen, and then he gets the name. And I mean, also, I think like they did well enough to make it impactful the end of the movie, where like that big bombshell happens and she is forced to, make her own decision at the end, which needed to work really because it was the freaking end of the movie. What do you think of her?
I thought Zendaya was awesome in this. I really was hoping for her her to have like some great moments in this, and she really does. Her physicality is pretty great too in the fight scenes. And I love how she can express a lot of emotion in just like a facial expression. You get it definitely at the end when she's watching Paul in that final fight, when he says he'll take the hand of Florence Pugh, and you can really get the emotion like heavy from her without her kind of even doing anything but a facial emotion. And I think she's brilliant in that. As far as chemistry goes, there's zero chemistry for me between her and Timothy. I couldn't get any of it ever. Even we got like the finish of a sex scene with the two of them. I'm like, what are we doing?
Oh,
here,
they're sweating on each other.
I couldn't.
I thought that scene was good. I like that scene.
No, the scene where they're like under the tent. No, I'm not getting any sort of chemistry between the two of them. I don't know what it is. I do know what it is. And I can go into my next point if we want.
Please.
It's Timothy. I don't think Timothy. I'm not convinced by Timothy still after 2 movies of him being the right person for this Paul role. I'm not getting leader vibes from him. Whenever he yells at somebody, it almost makes me laugh. Like I would be the only one in the theater laughing at this joke while everyone's laughing at the real jokes. I don't find Timothy compelling at all in these films anymore. Especially this. I don't find him to be a leader. He doesn't like exude that kind of I'm commanding the crowd. And I don't have a knowledge of the books. All I have is David Lynch's Dune.
Yeah. Dune.
That I've seen. So Timothy is what lets this all down for me. And I don't enjoy him at all. And I love Timothy.
You want to give Timothy Chalamet a swirly, don't you?
After this, yeah. I could definitely give him a swirly in this film. He has no power over me.
Proto?
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. When I said that Zendaya has chemistry with Timothy, I kind of was pretty purposeful because I kind of agree. Like, I don't think they have it together. Like, it doesn't go both ways. I think she kind of carried their relationship in this movie.
She could have chemistry with a broomstick if she wanted to.
Yeah, that's true.
Zendaya has that power.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so my biggest gripe after rewatching the first movie was Timothy. Mm-hmm. I kind of, that's what I came away with, thinking that like, I don't think he was the right pick for this role. I think the first half of this movie, he is not inspiring at all. I think his best bits are when he does the things that like Timothy Chalamet is good at. Like he's the awkward guy. Like, hey, what are you guys talking about over there? And like kicks his foot. Like that's a Timothy Chalamet scene. And it looks good because that's kind of what he gets paid to do. Mm-hmm. Like that's what he's good at. But yeah, like there's like that scene where he like yells at his mom when she's like getting on the sandworm. It was like, come on.
Yeah, he really went at it with that one line. Even I was like, what are you doing, bro?
It's like, dude, you're a Fremen. They could hear you. Like
everyone there could hear you right now.
Yeah, he just doesn't. I don't know what it is. It's just something about him that didn't exude the leader of this army, the Messiah. It just doesn't. It doesn't fall on me for all the right reasons. And he's the whole movie. He's the whole movie. So it's like
Grelephant in chat comments in our Discord. I think in general the casting is just so lazy. All they did was hire all the trendiest actors without consideration for how they fit the character. When Anya showed up, I could barely handle it. Yeah, I mean, you do have the most trendiest actors on the planet in this movie. Like, this is it. Like, these are the members of the zeitgeist right now on the planet.
That was actually one of my notes, is that this movie it kind of feels almost like a generational shift of actors. Of like, this movie has like a whole class of the hotness in it all at once. And they're all on display for you to see, which is pretty wild.
And it's like a $200 million movie.
Yeah. What kind of hot are you into? It's basically what it is.
Oh, boy. Is it my number 3, maybe? Oh, what was I going to say? Something about Timmy yelling. Yeah, when he yelled at, like, I think this is the first time I've ever heard Timothée Chalamet yell, was this movie. Him yelling at his mom and then in the underground area.
He does it in the tent in the first one at his mom as well. And it's just like so off-putting. Like,
I mean, he was right to yell at her. She turns and she's her evil machinations. How crazy does she get in this movie? Like evil witch territory. Fast. Right?
Dude, her eyes popping out of her head after she drinks the warm piss. The convulsing that she does.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys think of Timmy's speech scene at the end, though? So, Danny, you didn't really care for it then?
No, actually, I have that written down as one of my favorite moments. Is that when he takes the power of the Fremen, right? In the cave scene. I thought that was good. I think that's probably that's not my favorite part of Timothy in this, but he doesn't have a speaking in my favorite part. But I think it's a solid moment for him. I think, but it's also very atmospherical with that scene where everyone around him's kind of reaction kind of lifts that scene as well. It's a very exciting scene.
Yeah. And I think the dialogue is very moving. Like the way it's written is really good. And the way it's shot is really good. I think Denny is very good at getting the performance he wants out of his actors. And I think that really helps in this case with like Timothy making him kind of fill that role a little bit more as like a leader. I agree. Like, I don't think he's nails it. I mean, I honestly would be open to them recasting if they do a Dune 3. Get an older guy in there, maybe.
That would be the biggest story.
Right? Isn't Messiah like future, 12 years in the future or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
He's going to grow a mustache, Timmy.
Something.
He's going to have a mustache. I didn't give my thoughts on Timmy. I think he's fine. It didn't bother me or any of his scenes, really. I thought it was fine. Didn't blow me away or anything. My last note, we haven't talked about the music, so this is just a quick pre-final thought, unless someone else brings out the music. I love the music. I thought, like, I went back to listen while Danny was doing his pre-show, just to hear like what that note was in the film, because there is that hook of music in the film that they play at certain points, and especially when Zendaya leaves. And I just thought it was amazing. I thought it was great hook. And I don't remember anything in the music really from the first part. But having said that, I have a final point. We were talking about the final scene, the big fight scene with Fade, Christopher Walken. He was barely doing any walking in this movie, but Christopher Walken, his daughter, when he suggested that he take her hand in marriage, I remember specifically turning to Proto and going like, what? Like I was not expecting that because, again, I don't really remember. I thought the ending of the first movie was like them freeing the water and the story is essentially over. So the fact that we're getting kind of like another non-ending where he's like declaring war on the other houses and he's offering to marry Florence Pugh and Zendaya goes off running, like that's not an ending of a movie. That's like it's like an Empire Strikes Back non-ending. Like, oh, I gotta wait now for the final part to end this, which I'm presuming, and they'll probably do it again, like 5 days after the premiere. They'll be like, ha, Dune 3 is coming. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on like maybe Proto, if that's similar to the books, if you even remember, but how you felt like this is as closing the chapter for this movie leading into the next one.
Well, this is pretty much how the book ends. And no matter how much I love Dune, I find it kind of dissatisfying the way it ends. It's kind of a downer of an ending because it feels like things are just kind of like you're ready for part 3 to start of this story. Like if the book is split into 2 parts, it's like, well, this feels like it's missing the third part of like what happens because it's very abrupt in that, like, they capture them. He has the fight. They win, it's over. Like it just ends right there. There's no like epilogue of like even the stuff that they hint at of like the Fremen leaving the planet. From what I remember, I don't think any of that is in the book. So it's very abrupt in the book. And I think that's kind of just like the struggle. I was curious if he was going to have like hints to part 3, kind of like getting into the second book. But he really, they didn't do any of that, which makes me think they're definitely doing a part 3.
And also makes me wonder, too, I never looked this up, but is it possible to condense the third book into one movie? If he's really just going to end, right? Like, how big is the third book? Because he had to split up the first book into 2 movies.
So it would be the second book.
That's what I'm sorry.
It's the shortest of the series, the book. So they could do it, but I would imagine, I don't know. I could see him doing it in 2 movies.
I read that Denny doesn't want to. I think
he doesn't want to do it in 2 movies.
I think I read he only wants to do one more, and he doesn't want to be tied down to a franchise anymore after this.
Good
for him.
Good for him. Thank you, Denny.
He saw the creator as well.
Yeah, he knows.
He knows what he can do with $80 million.
Fraser's like whispering to him, you know what you could do with...
Yeah, Denny, there's other things we can do, Denny. We don't have to do this sand stuff anymore. Please.
Get out of the sand.
What did you think of the ending, Danny?
I thought the fight was awesome. I thought it was shot really well. There was something I was disappointed that they didn't do in this that I vaguely remember being awesome in the Lynch version, is when Paul defeats Elvis. Mm-hmm. He does that like ground stomp. He's like stomps him into the ground or something. Was that in the Lynch version where he cracks the ground with his body or something? I was hoping for that to happen again in this movie. I thought it was badass, but he does like a stomp towards the Emperor at the end. Yes, thank you, Sammy. He uses the voice. He uses like his, yeah. He uses his voice and like shatters Sting into the ground in the Lynch movie. I thought that was a badass scene. I really wanted to see that in this movie. But Zendaya riding off into the sunset, I liked. It was fine. Mm-hmm. It felt like it was just at the ending, so wasn't sure how much more I could take this film anyway, so I'm glad it was kind of over after that fight.
Mike in chat says Dune Messiah is shorter than The Hobbit, so ...
At least 3 parts.
Don't let Peter hear this.
The Hobbit. Oh my God. Should that be our December? Should we just
stop
the Hobbit movies?
Stop.
Oh my God. That would be insane. We got to noodle on that. There could be something there. There could be a nugget of something there. Proto, final point?
So, watching the first one, I loved how the world was realized and how it was adapted to the screen. And I felt the same way with this. I thought there's so many like costumes and the way the world feels and looks. It looks lived in. The Bene Gesserit headpieces and their whole getup.
Yeah.
Rebecca Ferguson with the jewelry, the tattoos. I mean, it was all dynamite. Even like the Harkonnens, like those guys looked pretty badass with those headpieces, whatever they had on too. Like I thought like everything in terms of the design and what they came up for the world in this was just dynamite. Like it felt true to the book and kind of just a continuation of the first movie.
Yeah, this definitely felt like a movie where if you're a fan of Dune and the book, you're like incredibly rewarded with these films. Like it feels like this is something perfect for Dune fans.
Yeah.
It really does. If you have lived in this world for any moment of time, I feel like Denny really did it well for them. For me, Rebecca, I think, is the best part of this film. I think her performance from beginning to end of her turn, I guess not turn, she's always been kind of not evil, but on that witchcraft side of things. And I found her the most compelling in this. And I think she's pretty incredible in this throughout the whole thing. I liked her performance a lot.
Is Oscar listening? Will Oscar call for Rebecca?
Oscar Isaac?
Next March for the award.
Will people remember this movie next March?
That's a great question. Will people remember this movie next month? I don't know.
A lot of runway.
Danny, final point.
I'll end on saying my favorite part of this film. Oh yeah, I'll save it for the final thoughts. My favorite part of this movie, and I got full body chills at this scene when, and I wanted to stand up and kind of salute everyone who made this film. When Paul is learning to ride the worm, like that scene visually, the music, the performances, there was the subtleness of like Javier, his like reaction to Paul calling the big giant worm, and them kind of like, oh damn, is he gonna do this? Like there was a real fear. Like it was like, haha, is he gonna ride the worm? And then when he calls the giant worm, they're like, oh shit, I don't know if he can do this, and he does it. It just, there was like my body like I felt the chills. I felt like Baron Harkonnen like raising from my seat, levitating at that moment, because it really was an incredible moment of film. There was just everything combined in that scene really worked well. And riding the worms is like such a badass thing in this movie, because
it's also.
I'm still talking. Thank you. Christ.
Get his ass.
One of the things I loved about the writing of the worms they show subtly is how he can like control like left and right. Like I didn't understand how the worm didn't just take it wherever he wanted to go. Like I love like the hooks under the like gills of this worm that he can control left and right movement. The one thing I have a question about, I don't know if it's from the book at all. How do they get off when they get to places? Like how does the worm just like stop and let them off?
Right. Mm-hmm. Maybe the worm keeps going, but they take off the hooks and it just dives into the sand.
And they just like, yeah.
Maybe.
Because they have like...
How do they... I'm interjecting now. How do they get 1,000 people onto the worm?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they all jumping at the same time in a line? Like it's your turn to ride the ride and you jump and you're on it?
Yeah. I had questions. It's fine though, because it looks awesome. But I did have those questions.
Yeah. Well, I always had those questions when I was reading the book, because from what I remember, Herbert doesn't really explain too much of how they do the worm stuff. So I was very curious as to how they would do it in the movie. And I think the way they do it is like brilliant, of where they put the thumper and then he like has to run over and jump on the worm. Yeah. It all makes sense and looks great.
George Lucas would have explained it clearly.
Yeah. I was pretty taken aback by how well it looked. I mean, because this looks like the easiest thing to screw up, right? Like doing anything with these freaking worms,
super cheesy.
It's gonna look horrendous. But they did pretty well by filming like it's such a wide base, and they just threw a bunch of sand in front of a fan, and like, okay, this looks pretty good. This looks realistic. Actually, as of recording, we're recording this on a Saturday. I was curious what the opening box office would be for Dune. I think the first one opened at like 40 something. You know, it was same day digital on HBO and then also in theaters.
God. Forgot about that.
So this one is it sounds like it's going to end at 75 mil. Opening.
Is that good? Domestic. I don't know if that's good.
Yeah, it's better than the first one for sure.
Yeah,
this is a shocking stat right now. That's still less than the opening weekend of Five Nights at Freddy's. Domestic. So you do with that what you will.
You do the math.
My honorable mentions, I like the intro that like Florence Pugh previously on, or like where we stand now since you were in theaters.
That was cool.
I thought that was really well done. Javier Bardem, you know, he's in this movie a lot. I liked him a lot. He brought some of that humor and emotion that I was missing in the first movie for sure. He was funny. A lot of funny scenes with him. Fade Bones of Bene Gesserit, Margot Fenring. That whole scene, we haven't even talked about that. Remember like their machinations behind the scenes to like potentially have another prophecy child?
Right.
Leia Seydoux. Touch my body.
Goodness gracious. Josh Brolin's hair. God.
Killer.
Imagine having hair that you can do multiple styles with. Like we talked about Brad Pitt earlier.
Yeah.
But man, what's it gonna take? Do I need like surgery? Do I need some kind of $1 million
Yeah, you do hair implants.
hair implants? Okay.
Yeah.
See if we can get a sponsorship.
His little ditty that he plays on the balisette.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
I love that.
That was cool.
Okay.
The oh yeah, he was like, what was he, like a bounty hunter to start? You know, they were like
Smuggler.
spice mining
Spice
illegally.
smuggler. They were doing the Kessel Run.
Another Star Wars rip.
There it is.
God. Don't. Speaking of which, I was about to say, don't comment on my Letterboxd review. If you don't follow someone on Letterboxd, chances are you shouldn't comment on their review. It's like if you have half a brain. Not that those people are listening to the show. Last Temptation of Christ when he's yelling in the pit vibes, big time. Is this the most expensive movie ever made? That battle at the Citadel with the worms and all that stuff. I don't even know what scene was happening, but I wrote specifically in the theater, Fade getting a boner. Like, what was something was happening?
That was the Leocido scene.
No, this was towards the end when all of them were grouped together, I think, with Walken there.
Oh,
Because he remember he was there just like standing around when all this was going on.
Oh, he was like doing like the Darth Maul pacing behind them watching Paul.
Yeah, that might have been it.
Yeah, Paul was doing it.
You gonna cut me, Paul? Yeah.
Oh yeah, Hannah brings it up watching his uncle die. He was pretty turned on by his uncle dying.
Oh, that's
He
it.
wanted to kill his uncle.
Yeah. That's what it was.
Yes. I love the word atomics. Remember they were like talking about how they stored the atomics. Very cool.
Oh, that was a cool thing to call him. Yeah.
Yeah. The music when Zendaya walks away. What an ending. I think I might be at 4.5 stars for Dune Part 2.
Goodness.
It's redemption for the first movie. Completely makes up for it. They're totally different movies, in my opinion. Again, everyone listening, these are our opinions.
Yeah, chill
out. Chill the frig out.
You could use
so I had fun watching this, and I'm assuming like this in my head, this is like an Empire Strikes Back ending. I'm not comparing the two movies. Everyone chill. But in that, like, this is an obvious part 2. Now we're legit gonna finish it. Like now we got the money rolling in this franchise before this movie came out. I wish they would have announced it. Just as just a personal opinion, I wish they would have said like, yeah, we're doing part 3. Because I still think it's a non-ending. So that's where I'm at. Proto?
I'd be curious to hear what, if any, gripes people have with like this as an adaptation of the book. Because personally, I don't really have any, and I'm curious if anybody would have like a serious argument. Because there's some where they change things, but I'm like fine, I think, with all the changes that were made, or at least the ones I noticed.
Yeah, I had that question for you as someone who read the book. Did you feel like there was anything missing that you were like, God, I really wish I could have seen that on screen?
You know, one thing that I thought of is that him taking the water of life is like such a big moment and like a psychedelic experience that the fact that it was so underplayed in the movie,
thank you,
is very deliberate, I feel. And I'm curious what like Denny's thoughts are around that. Like maybe he didn't want to have like, oh, this super trippy scene in the Dune movie, because that's maybe what people expect. But then also, so I took my wife Jenna to see this today. And I mentioned that to her. It's like, that whole water of life thing's a big deal. And she didn't really get that at all from the movie, which is kind of important. Like he becomes the person he's destined to be in that moment. But it's kind of, not as big of a deal in the movie. So I think that's maybe like I don't necessarily have a problem with it because I'm familiar with the story. But I wonder if people who aren't familiar with it, if they kind of lose that importance of it there.
I definitely did, because I think in my notes it said Paul's turn is so quick. For so much of the first half of the movie, he's like, I'm not doing this.
Right.
I'm not becoming the Messiah or whatever. And then like all of a sudden he drinks the worm piss and he's the Messiah. Like it happens so quick. If you like blink, you miss it. And it was so weird to me because it felt like it should have been like, a moment like when he's with the Fremen and having like that bit, like it feels like a big landmark moment, and he just kind of like all of a sudden Zendaya finds him pass out on the floor. It was very weird to me. I really expected a bigger moment for that.
Same. I guess we'll have to watch the audio commentary in a couple of years. I'm excited that Anya Taylor-Joy was cast in the role that she is as
really
his sister. Yeah.
Okay.
I've turned a corner with Anya.
Yes.
Me and her, ATJ. We've come a long way. Seeing that Furiosa trailer at the beginning of this.
Banging trailer.
I am hype.
Yeah.
For that movie. George, if you're listening, please.
Bring us home.
Take care of us. But yeah, it made me really excited. I think if anything, that's kind of like the thing that's hinted for the next part of the story, because she plays a bigger role obviously she plays a role rather than like not a role in this movie. So that kind of has me excited for what's to come. I think Danny, you said it earlier perfectly, or maybe it was Slim, but just that like this is such a movie for Dune nerds. And if you're like a Dune fan, it's hard to imagine, like in terms of what you get when something's adapted to the screen, like, could you ask for anything better? And like, I don't know if you could. Like anybody who's saying like they're disappointed if you're a Dune nerd, like I don't know how you would be.
Right.
So I loved it. It kind of hit all the buttons for me. I'm a 5 stars.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, let's see. My final thoughts. Florence Pugh saying figure like a hate crime. You catch that? She gave it the hard R both times.
I mean, if you were wearing such elaborate headgear, I'd probably start saying the words funny too.
I don't think she should have said it that way. There was a moment in the music when I think it's one of the final like battle scenes where they're running up and the drums are hitting really hard. My brain instantly put me in The Dark Knight Rises. I heard like Hans Zimmer's Batman score in that, and it really like sent me spinning. Like the scene where they fight in front of like Wall Street. It's like the snow. It's like Batman, Bane, the Gotham police, and the whatever people. There's like a really heavy Hans Zimmer banging soundtrack. You can cut it in here, Slim. Producer note. It sounds like the exact same music that was in this moment, and I really went spinning when it happened.
I felt like my eardrums were rattling a few times in that theater. Like I was like touching my ear because it was so loud.
Yeah. I felt it in the back of my throat sometimes. It was nuts.
Are theaters too loud?
You gotta ask.
Yeah, who's regulating theater volume? Is there a regulator that checks the tapes every week in these theaters? Someone should be.
Jenna was putting her fingers in her ears for most of the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Should have gotten a free
ticket. That's about it for me, I think. I was fine on this film. I'm at 3 stars.
Okay.
I'm going to leave it at that.
This is a safe space, the three of us.
I don't think Dune's for me. I don't enjoy this story very much. I think that's what I'm realizing. I think if you recasted Timmy for me, I'd probably be a little bit more, but I don't know if I'm really enjoying it. And I think that's what it is.
What about Michael Cera as Paul Atreides in part 3?
It could be a game changer for me.
I'd buy a ticket for that.
If you put Ryan Gosling in as Paul,
oh my god. The recast
my
of the century
would be ringing.
Whoa.
Okay.
This is so funny to me because I've been thinking about this.
Think about it.
All week long, just kind of anticipating this from you. And I can't help but think back to the creator.
Yeah.
And knowing that you gave the creator 5 stars and that you came out of Dune 2 and you're giving it 3 stars.
Yeah. I don't like the Dune story.
Yeah.
That's what it all comes down to. It's boring.
Well, we love each other all the same, the three of us. After this, that's the main thing.
Star Wars does it better.
Star Wars is my Star Wars.
There's your pull quote.
Okay, if you want to send us a letter, 70mmpod@gmail.com. You can also send us a audio memo if you so choose. I think we have a letter somewhere. Let me see. Nolan. Subject line, episode 91, part 2, question mark? Hey guys, I had this big grand plan to start my email with a funny joke in Fremen, but it turns out there's no reliable online translator to do so. I was left no choice after this joke fell through, but to ask ChatGPT for the funniest Dune joke it could think of, and here goes nothing. What's the most used app in Dune Part 2? Sandstagram. It's just like Instagram, but every picture is just more sand.
Oh.
Okay. You don't have a sound clip for that?
Does that warrant a sound clip? I don't know. It might be too bad even for a sound clip. Wow. Now, if that doesn't calm your fears about AI taking over the entertainment industry, I don't know what will. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed part 2 as much as I did seeing it in IMAX at the Escape Hatch meetup. I would have never found their community without this amazing VHS Village and tape deck network. Throughout the Village, I've seen this movie bringing people together in San Francisco, the Midwest, Texas, and even the UK. And that right there is Desert Power. Love, Noel Mahdi. That would be my name if it was a Fremen's white savior. So that comes from Nolan. Thank you, Nolan.
Thank you, Nolan. Don't ever make a joke again.
It was ChatGPT, technically. ChatGPT. Desert Power. I forgot about that line. They didn't say that in this one, did they? That was just the first one with Oscar. That's Desert Power, man.
No Oscar in this one.
Rip.
Isn't he
a
dead?
flashback?
Oh.
Well, he is dead, but I thought maybe we got a flashback.
We got a painting, a burning painting.
Sure.
Rip. Shantana sent a VM. Let me hit the button on this.
Hey, 70mm pod. It's your boy Shantana. I am driving at the moment. I'm heading to the Dune Midwest meetup. Getting together with other people from the Discord and figuring out exactly where I'm going at the same time.
Doesn't sound safe.
So Dune 2 is happening. Some people didn't think it would. Some people make stupid bets.
Okay.
I made $100 a couple years ago because someone didn't even think that Dune 2 was going to happen. Gosh. But now we're looking at Dune 3. I would probably bet on Dune 4 or 5 down the road eventually.
Calm down.
But I don't bet against Denis. I don't bet against Timothy Chalamet. And I don't bet against 70mm pod. This has been an amazing community to be a part of over the last few years. And I'm more than thankful for all the people and all the movies and being able to come together and enjoy movies and music and paranormal stuff. At the moment, driving past a police officer as I need to get over and slow down. Okay. Oh, no, it's not a cop. It is just a fast person. So I'm getting over. And it is time to hang up. Thanks, guys, for everything. And cheers to Dune 3.
Cut it. Thank you, Shantana. Thank you very much.
That was a jump scare.
There was like 30 people at that Midwest dinner table, wherever they were eating at.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do it.
I didn't see an invite. Did you guys see an invite?
I didn't get an invite. I said let's do a Philly meetup. I posted a Godzilla screening happening in March. No, but I got absolute crickets.
Nothing.
I'll go see the freaking movie by myself. I don't care.
Yeah, it's fine.
You know, whatever.
We don't do this for us. We do this for everyone else.
Doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah,
I'm unbothered. Next VM.
Clearly, I can see it.
What's up, 70mm boys? This is Fam. leaving the parking garage, just saw Dune 2 in IMAX, which I will recommend. Definitely see it in the biggest screen possible. The bass on some of those parts of that movie was insane. I liked it. Definitely a lot more action and a lot going on more than the first movie. I did do a rewatch of the first movie before this, and so just to kind of get prepped. But visuals are great. There's an awesome shot of when Chalamet's on the hill and that newt goes off. It's just a cool shot. Also him walking towards the crowd with the worms in the background. A lot of worm action going on in this movie. A lot of worms in sync, riding worms attacking. It looked really super cool. The story I enjoyed, got confusing at a point. I actually had to text Danny after I got out, and I had to ask him if the mother was evil, just to make sure. But really good acting job from everybody. Austin Butler did great. Batista, I felt bad for the guy, but he did a great job in the movie. But his character, they just kind of punked him out. But I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was fun. So definitely liked it. So thanks. Catch you guys later. Bye.
I responded and said, "Lose my number."
I got to use that one day.
You asked the wrong person. Is she evil? I don't know.
I did want to share this quote from Jenna. I asked her for a quote for the show. She said, "I can hardly understand our world. How can I expect to understand this one?"
Thank you, Jenna.
That would be a 10,000 like review on Letterboxd.
Yeah, that's true. She does have an account.
All right, final VM here before we get Danny's pick.
70 millimeter.
Oh my God.
I did it. We
Yes.
did it. I watched Dune Part 2 along with everybody else. And it was great. I mean, you know, it was a good movie.
Great's a good.
But what's up with Paul? Just like everything happened so fast. You know, he's in the north. He doesn't want to go south. He doesn't want to be Maldive, and then he's Maldive. And then Rebecca Ferguson's like, a man's going to come and want to drink the worm pee. And then he shows up, and all the while she's still pregnant with a human baby. What is the gestation period of these people, like that of an African elephant? 22 months? How does all this happen on a desert, planet-sized desert? Anyway, besides that, great movie. Now to the revolting part of my voicemail. I apologize. F, marry, kill. Okay. Black-mouthed, white-faced Austin Butler. Okay. Does it get worse? Dave Bautista being Dave Bautista in anything he plays in. Can it get any worse? Rebecca Ferguson only when she speaks with her goblin voice. I don't know. I don't make this up. You know, I leave it to you guys. I apologize in advance. Love you.
Oh my
God. That is the worst threesome you could come with. I mean, for that game.
Excuse me.
Bad choice of words. Did you see Dave Bautista on the late night circuit? He looked like he's starting to lose some of his muscle finally. I mean, it's got to be a lot to carry that around. He's not getting any younger. Thin it up, Dave. Lose some of that bulk. Look great.
Entering his Harry Dean Stanton phase?
I don't know.
I mean, you could say he's a better actor than Harry Dean Stanton.
You could say that. I mean, I've seen Paris, Texas.
We don't have to go there.
Oh, God. I refuse to play that game. I don't want to vomit. Thank you, Dale. Amazing VM, as always. We need to gear up for Danny's pick for 90 minutes or less.
90 minutes or less.
We have 3 weeks in March for this theme. And Danny's leading things off. We're going old school. We're going to announce the picks every week.
I decided to pick a movie all three of us have seen. And we've all liked it. So there's that. But I wanted to go from Dune to hi-fi sci-fi to lo-fi sci-fi for our 90 minutes or less. Okay. And we're going to go with 2013's Coherence. The movie we've all seen. It's definitely one that I want to talk about with you guys. So 89 minutes, baby.
Hell yeah.
Bless.
Lo-fi sci-fi. It's streaming on Peacock, and Amazon Prime and Plex and Canopy.
What a friggin' pick. Great pick. My
Looking
first
forward
log
to,
of this movie is
watching this.
2015.
I know.
I watched it for the first time. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
good pick here. Lo-fi sci-fi making a comeback.
Yeah. This
Big
is going to be a
time.
fun one to talk about.
Okay. Damn, did this ever have a physical release?
Oh, I don't know.
Looks like, let me see what this links to on Amazon. $40 Blu-ray.
Oh my gosh.
From Oscilloscope. Dang. Okay, calm down. $40.
Yeah, 90 minutes or less. We should see the letterbox logs rolling in. There's no reason.
Please. Yeah. Now's the
Everyone's
time.
got time.
We have all the
Streaming
time in the world.
everywhere. So
Great pick. Could be a great month.
I think it's going to be a great month. Did we say who picked this theme, by the way? Who in our
Oh, shoot.
was it an intern
So-
pick?
Yeah, our interns gave us the
Yeah.
ideas. Let me pull that up. 90-minute movie month, John O'Callahan.
John, thank you for the pick.
Thank you, John.
It's going to be a big one. Huge.
Yeah.
My announcement.
Oh, that's right.
Well, first announcement I'm making that this month is actually 90-ish minutes. or
Oh,
less.
so you've picked more than 90 minutes. Okay. Okay.
That's part one of my announcement.
Okay.
90-ish. Part two of my announcement is that I have a long-standing history
Oh.
on the show of giving my picks to the community.
Oh.
I've done it countless times. Who can
Okay.
say how many times? I've lost count. But it's a long-standing tradition. And I thought, our interns picked the theme, or the villagers voted on it. What better than to allow them to vote on my pick as well?
Oh my gosh.
God.
So I've compiled a list of 15 movies.
Oh my gosh.
Just over the course of the
A
week,
short
as I saw
list.
one, I was like, oh, this could be it. And the list kept growing. And I figured, you know what? Why don't I let the villagers vote on this? So Monday morning, when this episode drops, Dune 2 episode, I will have a Patreon post with a vote of these movies. And you can vote for what my pick will be, which will be revealed next week.
Holy moly.
Goodness.
This has never been done
This is insane.
on the show. The innovation will continue until morale improves. Excited to see what's on this list. Jeez. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Proto, any closing thoughts on Dune Part 2?
I guess that was my closing thoughts. No, that's it. I mean, go see Dune 2 if you love Star Wars.
This is where they got it from. Dune movie got it all from George Lucas. And that's a fact. So we'll see everybody next week for Coherence, streaming everywhere.
$70mm is a tape deck production featuring original artwork provided by Danny Haas. Spiritual guidance and V'ger, the robot who loves movies, provided by Pertalexis. Producer at large Dale_A. And music composed by Cinematric. Prints and other merch are available on 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed, edited, and produced by me, Slim. Support our Patreon for access to our VHS Village Discord to talk movies with new friends, access to our exclusive episodes in the 70mm vault, discounts on merch, uncut episodes, and a physical membership card mailed to you. To check out other Tape Deck podcasts, find the link in the episode notes. And if you'd like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to Pro or Patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount using the links on 70mmpod.com. Goodbye.
This is a Tape Deck podcast.
Bye.